President, my home state of Michigan has the best and most productive workers in the world. Michigan workers built the American auto industry and the American middle class and continue to roll out cutting-edge innovations. Our farmers and agricultural producers deliver an incredible diversity of fresh products to American families day in and day out. Our cars, our trucks, crops, timber, furniture, and more are shipped across the United States and exported all across the globe. In America, we believe that if you work hard and you play by the rules, you'll be able to support yourself and your family and prosper. Unfortunately, our nation's workers and businesses are too often facing unfair competition from foreign competitors. Our businesses that play by the rules and pay their workers a fair wage for a hard day's work too often lose business to foreign competitors that cheat. It is one thing to lose a sale to a competitor that has the right product at the right time or is better positioned in the market. That certainly happens. But it is another thing altogether to lose because an international competitor is being subsidized by a foreign government or deliberately dumping goods below cost to drive American companies out of business. This needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. Large companies are able to directly combat these practices by hiring teams of lawyers to enforce international trade rules. But what about family farms, small auto parts suppliers, and other small manufacturers that don't keep international trade lawyers on their payroll? American small businesses, family farms, and the workers who show up every morning can outcompete anyone on this planet if they are given a level playing field. Mr. President, it's time to give them that level playing field. We should be using the expertise and strength of the federal government to stick up for these small businesses and give them a fair fight. Under current law, the Commerce Department has the authority to start their own trade investigation into these harmful trade practices, but they barely ever use it. That's why I've introduced the Self-Initiation Trade Enforcement Act with my colleague, Senator Burr. This bipartisan legislation will strengthen protections for small businesses and their workers by creating a permanent task force within the Commerce Department to support proactive investigations into unfair trade practices by foreign competitors. This task force will research trade data, spot abusive, unfair trade practices, and start formal investigations. This task force will also focus on cases impacting small and medium-sized businesses, the exact businesses that need the support but may not even know how to ask for it. Additionally, putting the weight of the Commerce Department behind these efforts shields these businesses from foreign retaliation. If a small business is able to track international trade data, and if they are then able to hire a legal team necessary to successfully prosecute their claims, and believe me, these are two big ifs, they could still face retaliation from foreign governments that could make it harder for them to export after they win their case. An individual cherry grower in northern Michigan, for example, faces nearly impossible hurdles in taking on a foreign government. But the Commerce Department can look out for these small growers across the nation and be their champion. A recent bipartisan trade policy meeting that I was at, I was able to speak with President Trump and Commerce Secretary Ross about this bipartisan legislation. They both expressed their strong support, and I will continue working with them and my colleagues in Congress until this legislation is signed into law. Michigan workers and businesses just want a fair chance to compete, and I will never stop fighting for them so that they can compete fairly and so that they can win. I urge my colleagues to support the Self-Initiation Trade Enforcement Act that will help small businesses and family farms all across Michigan and all across the United States.